started. Slayer Gramps already hovering that Soldier 76.
Yeah, so this is one of those opportunities where we can see the Soldier over what is likely going to be a very tracer-heavy set of play time for this guy here, Slayer Gramps. But overall, I still think that they're going to be looking to try to get back to their old ways of, you know, making finals runs and stuff in the AGs. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys come back because, you know, it was really fun to watch them the last couple times. But Second Wind is a team that I really don't think that we've seen them once on stream. So I'm really excited to see these guys as well. Don't know too much about them. Haven't really seen a lot of these players before, which is kind of awesome for AG because, you know, lately we've been seeing a lot of the same guys, whether it be the same team or a different one. But, you know, 6 players that I haven't really seen before. Maybe I've seen Suppose before. That just rings a bell, but, you know.
It makes it a lot more fun. It makes it a lot more interesting for us to see these new players, give them a little bit of that stream time, and see what they're going to actually make of it. And it looks like we're going to have the Junkrat come out from both sides with that Orisa, as you can see. So nothing too out of the ordinary, but doesn't look like the side from second, or excuse me, Bleh guys are actually going to go over to the side. They lose a couple early on. Pulse is able to grab Icy, but Slayer Gramps going to be out of the mix. They might be able to look to re-engage before that point fully goes over to Second Wind, but they're going to take the positional advantage for sure.
Zaxel really just showing his prowess on that Junkrat, and we've seen what a Junkrat can do in the Overwatch League, where, you know, you see guys like Jake on the Junkrat, the classic Jake Rat, where, you know, pretty much alone the Junkrat can decide games, and Zaxel is making a case for just that.
Looking pretty good. Hazy going to look to maybe hook somebody off the ledge. Slayer Gramps, though, with a bit of a flank, is going to try to catch someone off guard if possible. Maybe zone him out. But on the side, he gets caught out by Zaxel. Like you said, Hurex able to make a nice play for himself. And we'll see if they're able to pull themselves back in this one. Chuck actually drops off the map. That's a great utility coming out there from Fluff. We'll see if they're able to take advantage of it, Hurex. They don't have any ultimates to work with, but Jolve is actually pinned into the corner. Doesn't really have a whole lot of support other than that Mercy behind him.
And this is actually a really good job of just zoning onto the point. Fluff, with that Orisa pick, he can just get onto the point, and once he gets there, it's very hard to push him off with those shields just constantly being replenished. They have great control of the objective, and they can just kind of force all of the aggression onto the point, bring them in, and then just win the fight because of that. Because, I mean, here's the thing. When you have a D.Va as the mainstay, you know, going to get hooked around, you know, not going to be able to keep that defense matrix up all the time, not going to be able to protect all angles, so eventually they will fall.
They did pop the Valkyrie there from Pulses. Not really sure what the motive behind that. Maybe they wanted to get a little aggressive. Maybe he just fat-fingered it. Sometimes happens here, so he's not going to have that big ultimate to use while Suppose is sitting on that one. And Transcendence will be available, so maybe that will help them maintain control. They are going to be able to take the lead here. We'll just see what kind of an approach Second Wind can make right now as they look to try to pull him off the ledge, if possible, but not really finding a way to get onto the point here.
Icy with the Riptire looking for an opportunity to find some damage here, but gonna be sniffed out by Jolfi, and he's gonna get the kill. But now it looks like their Second Wind is just gonna be walking onto the point the same way that they actually just lost it. They're just gonna take it back, and with such dominance being asserted as well in the process.
And that Valkyrie would have been so good to have in that last fight here. They don't actually drop any ultimates really other than that Riptire. They hold on to the other 4, maybe looking to get into a better position because they lost Fluff so early on in that fight. But on the other end, both support ultimate still readily available here for this side of Second Wind, which is going to be a pretty big, to say the least, as they're coming up on all 6 ultimates. Riptire coming out from Zaxel. Can you find anything this time around? That's the big question. They're trying to stall this one, trying to hold out. In the back, though, he finds Icy. That's a crucial kill, as they will definitely force it to one fight here. So he actually forced the res out from Pulses.
Well, they just killed Zaxel off too, and that's very, very important because this is going to be one of those deadly fights where everybody's going to be dropping ults left and right, and here they come. That's both Transcendences out for both sides, but Slayer Gramps actually gets killed off.
Mid-tack visor as well. They use the Valkyrie. Whole Hog, though, comes out. We'll see if Hazy can pick up any kills. Looking for Pulses, or excuse me, looking for Suppose, but Suppose, he gets to safety. They're at 94% here, and there is really no one here to contest other than the Roadhog and Tracer, excuse me, Calvin, going to get dropped here in the back. They do have Tracer on the point. Slayer going to try his best to stall this one here, but he has no one else on the way. It's going to be Second Wind taking round number 1.
And really kind of a couple opportunities where, you know, they really just outplayed them to a degree. Zaxel had a moment there where, you know, right in the beginning of the game, he was able to get those 2 crucial picks just to solidify that first cap, which was Critical.
You do have the name switched around, by the way.
Oh, do I?
Yes.
Oh, I do. You're right. I had the team swap thing on.
Pointing that out.
I had the team swap thing on accident instead of the regular one. What do you know?
All good. All good. I think everyone knew who Bleh Guys was that match.
Well, this is what happens when we can't have sponsors, man. We just start losing the ability to just like keep our minds together, you know?
Well, second win, that was unexpected. I mean, extremely unexpected. Icy, though, moving over to the McCree and Slayer Gramps on the Reaper here. We'll see what they make of this one. Zaxel was on the Junkrat. He was a massive playmaker. I would say he was the playmaker for second win in the last match. Now on the Tracer. Going to try to avoid Icy at all costs.
They're just holding on to the point, and this is a similar thing that we saw them trying to do before, where they like to just control the point, just come out when they have to, especially when they have that Reaper in play. That's just really important for them to just utilize this style. But Zaxel, again, with 2 picks to start the game off.
But not before Suppose was actually taken out. Both Mercies are off the map here, and it actually looks like Bleh Guys have the numbers advantage. Tracer is still skirting around, but Zaxel doesn't really have anyone around him for support or a point presence. He's going to be forced to jump off, and this time around, it's going to be Bleh Guys coming out on top.
Yeah, he had a couple of moments there where, you know, he had those first 2 picks, 1 clip down, Icy just really shut him down, but then wasn't able to finish the job on the Lucio, and then a couple of bad blinks, bad movement coming out from that Tracer, you know, just wasn't able to get those last 2 kills, which would have given them the point, but now coming back in, does have that pulse bomb. He really does need to find that Mercy at, like, trying to find that big pick.
Bombs out. Wow, that was wide left. Not even close. Icy in a little bit of trouble, but meanwhile on the front line, it's going to be Slayer Gramps and the rest of the squad getting rather aggressive. Suppose going to be dropped here, and they are going to control this game quite nicely here as they are coming up on all 6 ultimates. They have the sound barrier ready on the other end. Not quite ready with the Valkyrie here, and you know, they're hitting 45%. Bleh Guy is looking terrific.
And they're just deathballing it too. They're just really stacked on top of each other. We're seeing Hazy a lot of times just playing alongside Slayer Gramps, keeping him very safe so that he can get into position while Calvin as a cat puts him in that position with the speed boost. And on top of that, obviously just getting a lot of healing done as well with the sound barrier already ready to go. They're going to need to heal him up so he can get that Death Blossom off here.
Looking for a point of entry. Zaxel maybe looking to flank out here as they look to move on to the point. Self-destruct comes out from Hazy. I think he was kind of forced out of that one. They do find Suppose the Death Blossom from Slayer Gramps picks up 2 Hurix. They drop the Tactical Visor. Rampage finds nothing from it. They're going to go ahead and res up 1 with Pulse's utility there, Hurix, but they didn't force out the Valkyrie, and that is massive for the sound barrier.
Yeah, I think that's very important too, but I think what's the most critical aspect of that last fight was Fluff's ability to just take Flubby out of the fight completely. You know, obviously that trance would have saved them from that Death Blossom, but Flubby just completely zoned him out. And now we're seeing the Deadeye come out. They didn't get anything off of it, but they're going to be able to find something after, it looks like.
With that Valkyrie out here. Self-destruct in the air, looking for something. Not quite going to be able to get it. They do actually find the first kill coming out from second win, though. But Pulse is going to be able to bring him right back up. Hurix, we're in overtime right now. Hazy's out of the neck, and that could be big for Slayer Gramps, who is trying to work his way up to the Death Blossom. But it's Resurrect after Resurrect, one after another. Hurix in second win. They've got the numbers advantage. They have the Primal Rage from Jolfi. They're going to go ahead and pop this one. I don't think it was needed, but they will be able to get a little bit of ground here in the second round.
So retaking here on Shrine now they have to hold out, and really I think at this stage you kind of need to have that Zenyatta ult to be able to just counteract the Blossom that's going to come from Slayer Gramps. Rampage is close to one of his own here as they did make that swap, but I mean combating the aggression that's going to come from Chicken Connoisseurs is going to be pretty tough here when they have theirs already ready to go.
Yeah, I do have the Death Blossom. That's going to be what they're looking for. It's a little bit eaten up by the Defense Matrix, but Hurix, he found a crucial kill on a Suppose. We'll see if Rampage is able to return the favor here. Primal Rage still rampant from Fluff in the back as he finds the kill on the Flubby. They've got the numbers. Zaxel is the lone survivor. He cannot hold. They are going to be able to take this one back. Mercy will try her best to maybe contest, but not going to be the case, Hurix. This will be headed to a third round.
So a pretty convincing flop there. I mean, now you have to wonder, how are these teams really matching up? Because you go over to Sanctum, and obviously Shrine and Sanctum are 2 very different maps in how you play them, but But it looked very one-sided, where Zaxel had a really good performance on the Junkrat, getting those crucial picks. But is it a case of momentum where, you know, a lot of times King of the Hill can be, where those first 2 picks were as meaningful as, you know, anything else in the game, because they were able to just establish themselves on the point, get that early Riptire going, and just kind of roll from then on. But only being able to put up 39 because you were able to stack up so many ults by the time the game was pretty much over. I mean, that's very, it's a big momentum shift, I would say, and definitely in the favor of Bleh guys right now.
We'll see if they're able to maintain this momentum, like you had mentioned here, both with that Farm Mercy combo coming out here. Slayer Gramps moving over to the Tracer. Can he match up with Rampage, who is now on the Tracer rather than Zaxel? But Fluff, the first to fall, should be able to bring him back up into the mix. But Suppose goes down here. That's an even bigger pickup. They do lose the mech from Hazy. We'll see if they're able to press this advantage right now here. As Pulses is still up in the sky. He is still keeping Icy nice and healthy, and they should be able to confirm this first checkpoint.
Zaxel, who was their Tracer before, now is going over to Rampage, while Zaxel actually plays that Pharah role, and I think that's going to work out better for them, because in the matchup, from what I've seen so far in terms of Tracer v Tracer, which is a very important matchup in this current meta, I mean, I would give it to Slayer Gramps all day, from what we've seen. It just didn't look like Zaxel was as confident. It wasn't really as good movement-wise, and the aim was kind of a little bit lackluster, I would say. I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. Now Rampage being on it, I think this might be a better setup. You know, you see them in a little bit of a duel here, kind of tussling about, and Rampage actually winning that at the moment. So I think this is going to help them out in the long run. We'll have to see if it actually amounts to anything.
Fluff dives in the back, though, looking for the Zenyatta, but he finds the kill. Pulses is taken down in the meantime, but I don't think it's really going to amount to too much unless Rampage can stick the Pulse Bomb. No, not quite going to be able to find the tank here. He doesn't get what he's looking for. They're going to hit 45% now, and coming up on the self-destruct, coming up on that barrage as well from Icy with the sound barrier. I think they're going to be in a terrific position, given the fact that Zaxel has his barrage. That sound barrier is going to be crucial.
To see how they get in here. I mean, sound barrier is going to be very, very important, like you said, and the D.Va is going to be very important as well on both sides. Really need to be blocking out the damage that's going to be coming from the Pharahs when they do decide to get aggressive, come low, and start getting that barrage going. But actually, the self-destruct coming up. Can he find the kills on this guy? He actually doesn't find anything.
Does get a little bit of separation between the Mercy and the Pharah, but they really weren't able to take advantage of it because that self-destruct really wasn't the best of placements. They get up to 80% right now here. It's not a bad start. Not quite as good as the 99% they saw on Shrine, but regardless, in a terrific position. And they've got both support ultimates still ready to work with. The real question is, what can Icy get done with the barrage? Can he get into a good position to find Suppose?
I'm glad he actually held on to it. There was a moment there where he was flying low, was getting very, very close to that D.Va. I thought he was going to pull it out, and I'm glad he held on to it, because now he has the opportunity to try to find this kill, but Zaxel finds one of his own.
Barrage from Icy doesn't quite find what he's looking for. Zaxel is able to get the D-Mech onto Hazy. Meanwhile, a Primal Rage comes out from Fluff, but he is dangerously low right now. They have a Transcendence out on the point as well from Flubby. That's going to keep them nice and healthy in terms of HP right now. Maybe Slayer Gramps can pull it back, though. Flubby was taken down with the Pulse Bomb here in the back, Suppose. Able to bring him right back up into the thick of things here, and now it's looking like second win. Have the numbers advantage, but might not be able to take advantage of it because they find the kill on the truck. Chuck is actually taken out of the back. Hazy finds a double with the self-destruct, and Bleh guys pull this one back here. They're going to take control. They are going to continue to push this lead and push it into overtime.
Really, really good stuff from Bleh guys to get back in there, get control back once again, but now they don't have anything. I mean, on both sides, they don't have anything. Flubby just made the swap over to... Oh, what a quick kill on the Jolfie there, and actually Flubby's going to be isolated as well by Slayer Gramps. He won't even get back to the point.
Oh, man, Chuck was so close, but I don't even think it would have mattered. He was taken out of the mech regardless. Jolfie was taken down, and despite a lackluster performance in the first round here, Bleh guys pull two back in their favor and take the first map here in the semifinals.
Slayer Gramps on the Tracer, just having a great performance. We saw on stream for a bit there, just really kind of set things up really nicely for them. Was able to get that first kill onto the Winston, so they couldn't get the retake, and the other opportunity would have been that Lucio to get back onto the point, but, you know, he put that one in isolation as well, just forced him off of the objective, and they weren't able to get back onto the point. So So far, we've seen some good stuff, I would say, from Second Wind, specifically Zaxel having a pretty good time. Rampage in the duel against Slayer Gramps has shown some promise, rather. But we'll have to see as this progresses. Now we're going into King's Row. Again, one of those maps that's just a little different than, you know, the rest of the meta game that's going on right now, as you see Reinhardt's and Zarya's a lot on this map. But I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen quite yet. We haven't seen what Fluff and Pulsus look like in these kind of situations. Obviously, Calvin is a cat, pretty much taking over from what Stanky's role used to be. So obviously looking pretty good, taking over some of the Lucio play we've seen a lot of so far on King of the Hill. Now we're going to be seeing more than likely the Zenyatta. So that's what I'm really curious about, how they're going to be playing with what is kind of a different style than what we've seen from them so far, both in the past and now in the present. And that's going to be the main question mark here. I mean, what they're going to be able to accomplish with that. And then also, this is another map with Junkrat. And so far, we've seen Zaxel on the better end of things so far in that matchup.
Well, Zaxel is back in the lobby here. It will be Bleh guys on defense. So we'll see if they're able to make this a quick one, or if Second Wind is really going to take it to them. See if they can complete out this map. Just waiting on the okay from both teams to let me know that they are good to go. Guys, for you just joining us here, we are in the semifinals. It's a best of 3 between Bleh guys and Second Wind. Winner of this going to be taking on the winner between LCG and Youngins. Both teams of which, you know, I've never heard of. I didn't actually look at the rosters here, but I've never heard of these guys. Both of those teams are also 3-1 in the Overwatch Open standings. So hoping for a good finals following this semifinal here. But again, I think a lot of this is going to be up to what Zaxel can do. Is he going to be going back to the Pharah here on offense? Is honestly what I'm wondering. And if Rampage is going to be on that Tracer as well, because it's not like they looked pretty solid on him, to say the least, on Village Herix.
Yeah, I would say this is probably their best setup to have. If they're going to have the Tracer player, I would say put Rampage on it. Just from what we've seen, we did see Zaxel actually just drop from the game really quick to just get a quick restart. So maybe that had some kind of impact. Maybe it was like a performance thing where, you know, he might have been getting low frames or something like that. It's hard to say what exactly the issue was that caused him to need that restart. But nonetheless, he asked for it, got it, and now he's back. So, you know, maybe that had some kind of impact, some kind of effect in his gameplay that was making him look a little bit less like he was exuding some Tracer confidence in that last map on Nepal. But yeah, Rampage certainly looked a lot better, I think, to a large degree. And having him on this, I think, is going to be good for the team. Now, looking on the defensive side, you see Slayer Gramps actually bringing that Junkrat back into play here. Again, yeah, Zaxel looked a little bit better, I would say, but he's going to be on the Widow this time. So a Widow attack, Blubby actually going over to the Lucio as opposed to the Zenyatta that I actually personally would expect, but they're going to go for that heavy dive, just try to create a lot of space for Zaxel. We're going to see Rampage just diving in, kind of pulling a little bit of separation out, making those supports turn so that when they do dive in, Jolfie and Chuck have the space that they need to be able to put in some good damage off the clunge.
This could be deadly if they don't know what's about to hit them here on the defensive side. Really looking for Slayer Gramps to pick up that first kill. I think that could really set the pace for a solid defensive hold, but they recognize the threat, the aerial threat from Zaxel, and they got to back off. They don't really have a whole lot to really deal with him other than Calvin, and maybe Icy can get some damage up on him, but they're going to be forced back a little bit. Rampage the first to fall, but Chuck not going to waste any time diving into the back. They are forced all the way back, Hurix, but with that in mind, need to make sure that they stay on the point. They don't give up that first tick. Dangerously close to doing so. They give it up, Hurix, but at what cost? They might actually be able to come through and secure this team fight.
Well, this is actually really good comp pick, actually, from Second Wind. Having this Pharah is huge, but you need to make sure that this Pharah is able to actually prove to be quite lethal and take some of these kills, but he's just not finding them at the rate that he needs to. He needs to be getting kind of aggressive, especially when the Junkrat's out of play, and forcing some kills onto things like the Zenyatta. Calvin as a cat had a great couple of picks there to just solidify that defensive hold. Now when they go back in, think about it next time. The Junkrat's now down. You have the opportunity to now be a little bit more aggressive. Either look for that kill onto the tanks or try to find one of those supports.
But the barrage comes through. They had the Graviton Surge out. There was a decent amount of follow-up damage coming out from Hazy. He was decently charged at the time. Valkyrie, though, from Suppose Impulse's Transcendence is forced out from Calvin, trying to keep his tanks nice and healthy in the back if possible. Icy needs to come up big right now. He's got the Dragon Blade, looking for Rampage, finds one, looking for a second. The Winston able to dive to safety, but not for too long. And it's going to be Bleh guys pulling themselves back into this with 2:15 on the clock.
And a late couple of kills actually coming out as Icy is getting pretty aggressive, just trying to find a little bit more damage. Zaxel almost finding the kill, but luckily the deflect came up for Icy, and he's able to get that last rocket back up into the sky, away from his own body, you know, trying to now work his way around in the hotel. But here's the thing, Fluff does have this Earthshatter now, looking for an opportunity to get it onto the backline. Can he find it, though? That's going to be the question here. As the barrier comes down, they have nothing to protect them.
Riptire finds Jolfie! Oh man, Zaxo almost found it, Hurix, but not going to be the case. They are going to be forced to back off of this one and look for a regroup. And Hurix have got the Graviton Surge once again. If they can't afford to keep getting picked off like this. You got 90 seconds to go, feeding more ult charge to Icy, and that Graviton Surge could be deadly if Hazy has decent charge.
And it's also going to be important because it's going to give a big opportunity for Icy to get a couple of nice swift strikes through, get some good kill opportunities, get that charge up so that for the last fight, he'll have Blade as well.
Oh man, Graviton Surge comes through, but the self-destruct mitigates the damage. No one was really able to get up close to it. Fluff does get back up into the mix, but again, Hurix, they force out that Valkyrie from Pulse. He has an Earthshatter. If Fluff can find an opportune moment to drop it, not going to be the case. Hazy and Slayer are the lone survivors. They have a Mercy, but I just don't see this one happening. Hurix should be able to come through with this first checkpoint, get themselves a bit more time on the clock.
I think a little bit of a mistake there from Hazy as they got a little, I don't know, maybe a little overconfident on that hold there where, you know, he was really being pushed down really hard. That dive was very well executed from Second Wind, and he threw the ult out a little bit too early, died. They didn't have the damage there because that self-destruct came down as well. So Icy was actually just kind of zoned off, so he couldn't get those Swift Strikes, that he couldn't get that damage they needed to be able to secure those kills. So overall, really good stuff from Second Wind to secure that point, but it was close there.
They're going to press this advantage. They're going to leave one on the payload. They do force out a Transcendence. That is absolutely massive, I think, for the side of Second Wind to force out that ultimate. Regardless, you know, they're continuing to push the payload forward and try to ensure that they don't have to try to like look for a team fight at the actual entryway to this second objective. Hurix, they do unload the barrage up top, find a kill for themselves, and Suppose picks up 2 for himself. This is working out rather well for Second Wind.
Yeah, because the entire time that this is happening, Flubby is just sitting on the payload, just pushing it on through for free. I mean, yeah, they're slow pushing it with only one person on, but they're doing it consistently. There's no fight that's contesting the point, so they're able to make good time making it through to this stage of the map. And now they're really going to rely on Fluff here, who has the Earthshatter still. He's been hanging on to it, finally got it off, but it's going to die off before he can even find a kill with it.
Graviton Surge comes through. Do they have something?
There it is.
Kill from Slayer, Gramps to Deadeye, just to seal the deal. Despite the solo shatter from Fluff, Slayer, Gramps, and Icy come up big, and gotta hand it to Hazy. Great timing on that Graviton Surge.
Yeah, that one was a great Graviton. He's had 3 so far. One of them was a little off, but certainly Second Wind had a big play and making sure that that wasn't as effective as the other 2. Otherwise, it would have been just as large and just as impactful. Now we're seeing the self-destruct come out once again. That was a bad one.
He was forced out of the mech and wanted to get back into it, obviously, but Hurix, I mean, usually you at least want a chance to find a kill. There was no chance whatsoever for that one happening. Fluff, though, is going to be taken down, but could open up a little bit of an opportunity as they're going to bring him right back up into this one and press this push on the defensive side of things. 60 seconds to go, Hurix. We'll see what they can make of this with basically just the ultimate from Suppose.
And depending on how this fight actually, where it actually winds up taking place, this could be the last fight, actually. I mean, just where it takes place is just as important because it could be something that's drawn out and taking a while. We see Valks on both sides, so this could be very big here, but the Graviton comes down. They're surely going to have another opportunity after this one.
Oh man, Hazy with the uptime right now. Slayer Gramps with the consistent follow-up has just been dominant over the last minute and a half. Hurix, not much time to go. Can they even make it back to the payload? You would assume they can with Zaxel or Rampage kind of maneuvering their way back around, but they're going to try to ensure that they have no clear entry to that payload. It continues to actually get pushed back here.
This is one of those tough situations to be in on the attacking side, because now you're just trying to send your flankers around, try to get onto the point, you're sending your tanks forward, you're leaving your supports behind and very vulnerable if they counter dive onto you, but they're going to go straight through. We see, oh, they try to deflect. Zaxel actually gets the kill.
That's a nice Deadeye kill from Zaxel as they actually lay Jolfie flat here. The double kill comes out from Rampage as he sticks the pulse bomb, but again, both Valkyries are in effect. The numbers advantage is over to second win, and Hurix, it's looking like they're going to buy themselves the additional time on the clock. Slayer Gramps is in the back, but he's not going to be able to do anything. Maybe he can. I mean, he's going up with a pulse bomb. I just don't see it happening for like a 6-man wipe or anything. So they'll get themselves a little bit more of time as, no, he's actually contesting. Maybe they can get the D.Va on the point here. It's pulse bomb gonna miss for the most part, but they're gonna look to contest.
It doesn't look like that's going to work out for them. Fluff just took too much pressure trying to get over there as Slayer Gramps was able to contest it for him, and now Hazy dropping out of mech. That's just not going to work out for them. They're going to get off a little bit of damage, so they're going to be able to get their ult charges up a little bit, but certainly conceding a little bit to the opposition as well. And now they get another opportunity to defend here, which is, it definitely makes sense that they wanted to go for that hold because, you know, best case scenario, you end the map, great opportunity to take a win here, and worst case opportunity, you just fight again in 20 seconds, and that's just as well. So now as they look to re-engage, they certainly want to get Pulsis into position, and he is in a very good position at that, and that's going to be the blade coming out from Zaxel. Can he find the kills?
Going deep into the back here. Pulsis is under a lot of pressure from the Tracer as well here. It doesn't even look like it matters if he's taken down. Slayer Gramps is looking for some kills on the front end of things. Pulse Bomb gonna miss. Flubby able to keep himself alive. Kind of back and forth, but second win still with the numbers advantage. They did lose a couple of guys in the meantime. Most importantly, that Mercy was taken down rather late.
Now, yet another opportunity. Oh, Zaxel actually jumping over that one. Now the blade coming out from Icy, and he's typically very good with these. We'll have to see if he can actually find the kills, and they've actually denied him to some degree. Fluff is actually the one finding all of them, and now 20 seconds remain here, Storm. 2 support ults on the attacking side of his second wind, but is that enough to be able to secure not only their ability to get to the payload, but also to push it through to get that final objective point?
Need a big kill from Slayer Gramps. He needs to get that pulse bomb locked and loaded. Self-destruct is coming near the point. That's a great position for it, but no, not quite going to find anything in the meantime here. They did lose Calvin. Pulse bomb's out there. Can he get any kills? Looking for the D-Mech. Chuck going to be taken out of the mech, suppose. Goes ahead, pops the Valkyrie. They still have a sound barrier to work with on the offensive side of things. This is looking like a great spot to be in if your second win. Need to get Chuck back into the mech, though, as soon as you possibly can, as Pulse is ready to go with the Valkyrie. Can they get a regroup? Can they get back to the point in time? Calvin should be able to contest with the Transcendence.
This works out so well, actually, for second win. What a boop! Did he actually get the kill? He actually killed off Fluff, and he still has that sound barrier. Almost got Calvin as a cat as well, but didn't actually secure it. That sound barrier going to keep them alive just long enough for Chuck to find a kill onto Calvin as a cat after that boop, and it looks like they're going to be able to secure this here, Storm.
Pulse Bomb does D-Mech Hazy. They still have pulses. They gets a res onto Hazy. Gets him back in the mix. Can he get into the mech? No, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Zaxel finds him. The Earth Shatter lays him flat. Hurix, the Lucio bounce him back to the payload, but they just don't have enough damage. Pulse Bomb is able to find one, but nobody's here in second win. They capture all 3 checkpoints in overtime here, giving a glimmer of hope, I'd say, to look for that third map.
That was one of those, you know, one of those moments where you finish the map and you're just looking back, like, how did we make it? Like, how did we possibly end up here? Because both pushes looked like they were in dire straits. I mean, you saw it at first point where it was getting down to the wire, and really kind of came down to the fact that they were able to somehow deny Hazy on what was a string of insane gravitons that just were so good, with Slayer Gramps, of course, also providing a huge amount of that execution potential, that lethality that they need inside of that grav when they do get grouped up on the Pulse Bomb, and then also with the Junkrat as well. But, you know, second point was much the same. It started off really nicely for second win, but then they got slowed down. They were pushed down, and really kind of came down to the wire for that one as well. So finishing the last 2 in overtime, and the first one, if it wasn't in overtime, it was really close. So how did they make it here? That's what I would be wondering if I was on that team right now. But they made it nonetheless, and now they have to defend here. And like you said, there is a glimmer of hope for them.
third map is Route 66. If we do see Second Wind make a hold, that's exactly where we would be headed to see who comes out on top and moves into the finals tonight. But like guys, Hurix, they looked very, very dominant on defense at most of the time, to be honest. I mean, they held them off for about 3 minutes on the first objective, into overtime on the second and third objective, where they nearly actually held them, you know, from getting that second objective, Hurix. So wouldn't be surprised to see them come out and just kind of take control right away on the first objective, given that. But Second Wind, you know, they've got momentum at their back, and they have Zaxel back on the Junkrat, which is deadly.
And what a dive setup that they have here. No Mercy going with the speed boost of Lucio with triple dive DPS. Icy, of course, being on that Doomfist, looking for the kill, and then the Mercy barely whiffing it.
Mercy able to escape just narrowly here, but Icy looking for the prime punching opportunity. He's going to be taken down by Rampage, but up top, Genji, it's going to be Calvin as a cat taking control. They've got the 3-on-2 on the objective. They've got the spawn advantage as well. I just don't know if this is going to happen. Suppose is looking to jump around. He's going to be dropped in a matter of moments, and that is exactly how Bleh guys wanted to start out this map. They're going to have so much time to work with. 5:45 to look to capture the second objective.
And now Calvin as a cat is going to make his swap, as well as Pulsus, who are now swapping over back to their mainstay supports. Icy going to take over the Genji. And they're going to go back to that regular dive composition. Again, not something that you typically see on King's Row, as obviously it's typically just that mainstay of running the Reinhardt and the Zarya. But dive is certainly, it's certainly been seen quite a lot as well. Certainly like the second option, and it works out well for them on the first point with that hyper dive. Now moving over to just a standard one. Slayer Grams with a nice pick onto Chuck, again denying that Graviton.
All pinned, man. They're all pinned all the way in the back. He actually, it's going to be a self-destruct. Jolfi pins him in the back. He finds a double regardless, I suppose. Pops the Valkyrie. Wow. I'm not really sure that that's going to be enough here. So he can't res his entire team right here. And all the while, it's Calvin as a cat on the payload, moving it forward inch by inch. Junkrat in the back finds the kill, but it's just not really going to do the deed. They're going to have so much time to work with. They should be able to contest this one here. It's on the defensive side, but they will not have all 6 with them, only 5.
Yeah, they're going to be missing a lot of firepower from Zaxel, who's actually swapping over to the Tracer just to get back into the fight and be at least somehow effective in this one. Fluff going to be just ripped down by Rampage.
Nice pulse bomb from Slayer. Gramps is able to get the kill. Dragon Blade now out from Icy. It's going to be a Transcendence. Going to hold him at bay for the time being as they still contest this one. He does get the Mercy. That's going to be a big pickup here. But in the meantime, there are no ultimates to work with other than the Shatter. Lays too flat. Could it be enough? No. Pulses, he comes through here. He's trying to save the day for the rest of the squad. It's all about Icy right now, picking up kill after kill. They're going to get the extra 90 seconds, and they're going to have 5:25 to complete this map. And all they really need to do right now here is complete it with 60 seconds or more, and they could very well take this map in the second round.
Looks like they're very on pace to do just that here, Storm, and they're still running that dive, still looking very aggressive in the way that they're executing all these set plays, and Zaxel now under fire. You do see Calvin as a cat getting a lot of good action out of that Discord orb, really putting a lot of work into those tanks. Flubby with a nice pick, though, eliminating Slayer Gramps to start this fight off.
I'm a big fan of the Transcendence coming out from Calvin as a cat there. I mean, the rest of the team was already dispersed. He had a couple of people already past the payload on his team and thought that he would be able to save him from the Winston, but just not the case. So a big ultimate down. They don't have to worry about that from the side of Second Wind, but Flubby not quite ready to go with his. I'm looking for Slayer Gramps to come up big. Let's see a pulse bomb in the back if possible. Valkyrie coming out there. Suppose gets taken down as he pops the Valkyrie. Self-destruct, though. I mean, Hurix, this is looking pretty good for Bleh guys.
Icy does have that blade coming up, and that's proven to be very, very strong for them, taking out his main counter of the Winston as he's just staying away from Chuck, getting some of that healing back. Now they're going to have the opportunity to not only, after that team fight, get a little bit of momentum off of that. The support players are back up now for the defensive side of Second Wind, but that blade, that's going to be a big one to look for. Flubby does have that Transcendence, so they need to either get a pick on that, or they need to just have Fluff just kind of zoning him off for a little bit so they can get that opening pick with the blade, and it looks like he's going to pull it out now.
This is all Icy. What can he do with it? No ultimates to work with other than the Transcendence coming out from the defense. Gonna hold him at bay for the time being as Slayer Gramps is in the back looking to find Rampage. Meanwhile, Calvin is a cat, comes onto the payload here. He might be able to save the day for the squad. The Pulse Bomb kills Pulses, though. Can't save him from that one, here. They've got 2 tanks. They have the Tracer, but D.Va taken out of the mech here. They don't have a Primal Rage. Jolfi trying to get up to it. He's at 80% here. They find a kill onto Fluff. It's a 2-on-2 on the payload. I just don't know if they're able to hold on the offensive side of things. Suppose he gets a Resurrect onto Jolfi, and that's going to be Bleh guys forced back. 310 to work with, but what a hold coming out from second win.
That was impressive that they were able to maintain their composure there and still be able to hold out. Now they're actually swapping over Rampage to a Reaper, and Zaxel is actually on the Tracer here. He had a good pick there to just, you know, make sure that they had an opportunity to even be in this game before. But remember, he was a little inconsistent on the Tracer before. So again, he did have that reset after the first game. Maybe this is, maybe that was just a performance issue with his computer, and now he's going to be able to have a little bit more of an impact on that Tracer role than before.
Another Dragon Blade locked and loaded is going to be looking for Suppose. That primary target for him is Suppose pops an early Valkyrie right here. Meanwhile, Fluff going to try to knock him off the map if possible. That's the real question right now. Suppose, though, hasn't been dealt with. He finds his first Resurrect. Meanwhile, Pulses is only at 45% on that Valkyrie, which is going to be pretty big. Honestly, at this point, you don't drop any more ultimates if you're Bleh guys. They're just going to back off this one here. Know that Valkyrie is out of the picture for the side of Suppose.
That's a big ultimate to be down as well, especially defensively when you're backed up to your spawn. It's going to be tough for them to hold this one, especially if, you know, Suppose goes down. He's not going to have that Valk at all for the remainder of that that play, because if he goes down here without getting too much healing next, they're actually going to go for a triple tank setup here with the solo DPS being Zaxel on that Tracer.
Oh, Icy goes ahead and pops it in the back. It's going to be the Dragon Blade despite losing Fluff so early on, and Hazy pops out of self-destruct, not quite going to be able to find anything. They still have the Transcendence, but it'd probably be in Calvin's best interest to just hold on to that one, cut their losses. Really wasn't a fan of that Dragon Blade, though, here. I mean, he was going into a fight already down your main tank and decides to pop it anyways, and if your second win right now, you've pushed this down to sub 60 seconds. You're feeling pretty good about this. You could very well take this map.
Yeah, it looks like not only are they within that realm of possibility to take the map and take us into a game 3, but you're also still within that realm of possibility of just making this a draw too. So now looks like Zaxel just trying to take that mech down and does just that alongside Chuck, who self-destructs, but it looks like they're going to make the hold here.
And that indeed they are. Valkyrie went out from Suppose again. They used the Primal Rage as well, and I think this next push is going to be the final opportunity and one of the best opportunities potentially for Bleh guys, knowing there's not really a whole lot available for that defense right here, So I'm looking for something big here from Icy. Maybe he can pick up a kill. They've switched to an Orisa from Fluff. Interesting change.
And typically, you know, with the Orisa, you would often see a Roadhog with it as well, and that really does provide a lot of damage to those tanks. It's really going to be able to rip them down quite well, but they're going to stick with that D.Va close to that self-destruct, as well as Icy almost gets taken down in one fell swoop, but he's going to stay alive for the time being as they're slowly just trudging forward. Hazy going to be forced to self-destruct just to keep the mech.
Both of them actually forced to do that. He does find Zaxel, though. Rampage with the whole hog. And they try to knock him off the point, but he gets dropped. Transcendence out again from Calvin. This is going to keep them all nice and healthy. This is exactly what they're looking for. On the other end, though, Flubby has one of his own. Going to buy enough time for Rampage and Suppose to get back into the fight. Curix, they are dropping like flies on the side of Bleh guys. The Death Blossom is out here. He finds a couple of kills with the help of Hazy, but is it enough? Rampage, he's able to get back to the point along with Suppose. They need to take out that Mercy and Jolfi right now, Curix. This is going to be a race to the finish line for the side of Bleh guys. Well,
they still have that Reaper in play, and that's big here because he's going to be able to land that kill onto that tank. Now Fluff has all the room in the world.
Bastion gets pulse bomb though. Flubby thought he was okay. Chuck going to be taken out of the mech. They're going to be able to take him down, and Bleh guys will slowly but surely make way. They are going to take this one. They are going to be able to get back. The Primal Rage would have been huge for Jolfi here, but we are headed to a second attempt.
Especially at that angle, too. When you come out that door that he came out of, and you actually get the Primal Rage, there's a little bit of a chance if you get the right angle on the knock-up, you can actually flick them off the top of that payload and just down into a hole. So if he had gotten there just maybe a second before, he might have had the opportunity to get the right that angle that you really want to get on that particular jump and throw them all off the top of that payload that they were kind of sitting on and down into the abyss of the factory section there. But now both teams allotted 1 minute here, Storm. We saw, obviously, Bleh guys probably feeling a little bit more confident about the first point, but after their attack on that last phase of the map, maybe they've lost a little bit of that confidence because, you know, they lost a lot of that momentum that they had generated early on. Those first 2 points looked very one-sided, and then all of a sudden, it's like they hit a brick wall.
That's certainly the case. I mean, in the first attempt here, Bleh guys took the first objective on their first push. They looked very dominant. They had a very different, unique dive comp with the Doomfist coming into play as well. And second win, it took them about 3 minutes to get it here. So a big question here is, can Slayer Gramps and Icy pick up that first kill? That's going to be crucial. Flubby moving over to the Moira, and Rampage sticking with that Roadhog to give him that triple tank setup.
So typically you would see this as a quad tank setup, but they're instead going over for the Tracer, opting for that extra DPS, so some of that extra pressure onto the back line, and they're really going to benefit a lot from that first kill on the Pulsis. They took out both supports already here, Storm.
And that certainly will be a first objective captured over the second win. They are on fire right here, Erickson. Looking terrific in doing so. I mean, it will be pushed down to one final, I guess, push of the payload, so we'll see how much leeway Bleh guys is willing to give them right now. But they're going to be significantly down in terms of ultimate. Suppose now moving over to a Mercy.
So now they still get the benefit of having that Mercy later into the game, which is going to be really important. You really need to have that here. Slayer Gramps, kind of low here, but still in a great position right now to continue putting out pressure, especially if he can get a kill onto one of these guys here. But Fluff's going to be the first one down. Not having that Reinhardt's going to be very, very big into this next fight, as they're just going to push the aggression forward and find a second one onto Icy.
They can't afford to do anything right now, and it's going to be second win pressing the advantage right now. It's going to be exactly like what we saw on their first attempt here. It's just taking, not obviously taking them as much time as it did last time, but they're going to be sitting on some ultimates, and they could very well push this into that second checkpoint and look to push the distance. Graviton Surge comes out from Hazy. They need to clean it up right here, right now. The Riptire, it picks up 4. All said and done there from Bleh guys. Not the best, though, in terms of starting out.
Yeah, they could have done better there defensively, I think. I mean, you look back at their defense on the regulation play, and man, what a difference. I mean, stark contrast there between the two, where, you know, overtime finishes on attack over and over again for second win, forced by such a good defense coming out from the side of Bleh guys, and now they just let it through the first point so easily by what was essentially the potential next meta as Mercy falls, which is that Lucio Moira pick with the either triple tank or quad tank that we've already seen a little bit of in the Overwatch League, and a lot of guys have kind of noted that that could very well be where the meta is headed if Mercy, if we do see the downfall of Mercy, or if Mercy's impact is lessened by the changes that we see on the PTR right now. But now we do see Bleh guys ready to attack here, 20 seconds away from finding out whether or not this is going to be us going into Game 3 or moving on into the finals.
What do you think, Yerix?
It's tough to call now. I mean, before I would have said it would have been an easy pick for us to just say Bleh guys, but with the way that they let them go through defensively in overtime here, it's going to be tough for them to get to that same point. 81 meters off of that first objective going forward into the second. That's a tough call, especially with just a minute on the board. If they lose any fight, it's all over.
They could lose one right here, but that's about it, I'd say. And already Fluff not in a great position. Really haven't been the biggest fans of him diving in. It hasn't been really paying off too big. But as I say that, Jolfi is the first to drop here. Suppose might be able to bring him back up, Yerix, but trying to establish some point presence now as Hazy looking to find a kill for himself. Fluff is taken down. Not looking good, but Icy is picking up kills for the squad. They need to take care of that Mercy. That's going to be a big pickup if they're able to do it. Hurix Jolfi back in the mix. Resurrect comes on to Hazy Hurix, and it's looking like they will be able to secure this first objective. Obviously, they're going to have to push a little bit in terms of distance in overtime, but ultimate charge, Icy has a Dragon Blade, Graviton Surge coming up. That could be exactly what they need to take the W.
But because that fight took a little bit longer than they would have liked, they also gave opportunity for Chuck to get up his Graviton Surge. So he's going to look to try to get some of that energy back up, and if he can get a little bit more damage onto his right clicks, they might have an opportunity here with Zaxel providing some of that pressure as well with the grenades that he can put out. They might be able to execute this team here, but look at the way that they're getting around here with the Lucio. Are they going to be spotted out? It seems like they are. Oh, yeah, Genji does find them. Graviton comes down.
It comes out from both sides. The Transcendence is there. The Pulse Bomb picks up two. That's exactly what they needed. They drop everything from the side of Bleh, guys. They find a late kill, or at least they should, on a Rampage. He is being pinned into the wall, Hurix, and that's going to do it. Bleh, guys, take it after a miraculous few ultimates coming out. A game-saving Transcendence from Calvin, and we are going to be seeing Bleh, guys, up against LCG in the final.
And it was all about getting that right click off the drop down too, because when they came down like a waterfall, didn't they? Where you see that a lot in games like CSGO, you know, you just waterfall out of a window, and that's exactly what they did. Calvin as a cat got a nice little right click onto it, was able to generate that last tiny little bit that he needed for his Transcendence, got it up, and was able to save the day with it, because, you know, they didn't have that one-shot potential that you saw from Slayer.